Hey everybody, Black Ninja 797 here, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I want to talk about why I truly believe that Left 4 Dead 3 is finally a possibility. Left 4 Dead is one of those series that you just know exactly what it is when you hear those words, Left 4 Dead. It's obviously like one of the most popular zombie games, just popular games in general out there in the world. And Left 4 Dead has only had two games, Left 4 Dead 1 and Left 4 Dead 2 in 2008 and 2009. And the third installment has still yet to be released until I believe sometime in the near future. You wanna know why? Valve was open to the idea of the Left 4 Dead universe again. Because recently, based off of the news that you may or may not know about, Left 4 Dead 2 is finally getting an update. Left 4 Dead 2 is getting a new content update coming soon, where Valve is going to be working with well-known modders, and they're going to be working to make a campaign out of the Last Stand survival map, which you guys are seeing on screen right now, which is a survival map that was from Left 4 Dead 1, and you can get as a mod or a DLC in Left 4 Dead 2. And basically, they're going to make this expanded upon and make it a full-fledged campaign after all these years, because Left 4 Dead has not had a single content update in almost a decade. The last update was August of 2012, back when the main console of choice was the Xbox 360. And I honestly think that Left 4 Dead 3 is a possibility, because now that Valve is open to the idea of making content for Left 4 Dead again, or just making content again, you know, the possibilities are endless, because Valve has basically just been the CSGO lotto machine for so long, and they haven't really done anything with games in forever, and they really don't make a lot of sequels. But I feel like they're going to make exceptions, because there's a track record that we've been starting to notice here lately. Number one of the most biggest things is Half-Life 3. Half-Life 3 was almost on par. In fact, it probably maybe even a little bit more on par of a joke of, you know, possibly getting a third installment like Left 4 Dead 3 was. Because Half-Life 3, considering the Left 4 Dead series as well, is that Half-Life 3 and Left 4 Dead 3 were such jokes because they were just almost so memeable. Like, Valve had no interest over the last couple of years of making games, and so for people that wanted, eventually people just gave up, and everyone just assumed that it was never going to happen. So when anybody still talked about it anymore, everyone like just pokes fun at it, just being like, ha, yeah, you know, sure. It's just so unrealistic in people's minds anymore. But now, all of a sudden, Left 4 Dead's finally getting content, and Half-Life 3 came out recently. Everyone's just like, wow, Valve's on a track record of making, you know, content again. What is this? You know, is this, you know, like the 2000s again? And everyone doesn't truly realize, in my opinion, I think, what this means is that, other than Left 4 Dead in general being open, you know, to the world of Valve again, just games are in general too. We might even see something like, let's say, a Portal 3, you know, announcement soon, or you know, Team Fortress, you know, stuff, or Gary's mod, like whether it's content or whether it's, you know, a sequel or whatever have you. Valve's open to making stuff again, because we're finally wearing them down. Basically got to the point where we nagged and we requested and we pleaded so much that they're just like, fine. They finally give in. You nag enough, you theoretically can wear someone down if they can't avoid you. That is, I mean, if you can tune somebody out and you can't hear it, that's different. But if you're constantly around people, you know, chitter-chattering or nagging or whatever word you want to use around something, you'll eventually either, you know, tell them to shove it, or you'll give in. And since Valve wants to keep their, you know, business in good standing, they gave in. And so since they're open to stuff again, this is what I think would happen with the Left 4 Dead 3. So Left 4 Dead ended in 2012 in terms of content, and the series, or at least in terms of installments, ended back in 2009. So it's been a long time. Like I said, the last main console of choice, unless you had a PC that was the Xbox 360. So this is over a decade ago. It was several consoles ago. It's a long time. And the way I'm looking at this is that if Left 4 Dead 3 were to come out, I honestly think three things. Number one, for the first time ever, unless they decide to do something really crazy, I think this would only be on PC. Secondly, as well, I feel like that they would have to live up to the new standards, considering the Fortnite standards, as I'll use a verb or an adjective here. And basically, the last thing as well is that I think this could probably be Valve's best game. You gotta think about it this way. What's the one thing that keeps people coming back to Left 4 Dead and makes it one of the most popular played games on Steam after all these years? It's fun. it is extremely fun. It is probably one of the most fun video games I've always played. In fact, it's in my top 10 video games of all time. I love the Left 4 Dead series. I absolutely adore this series because it's just so replayable, simple, fun, addictive, crazy. It's got so much cool stuff. You got the director with making every game feel different, even though the game technically shouldn't be this replayable. You've got a crazy community full of modders and content creators that will help feed the game's content after all these years. And also, as well, is that the game's just base mechanics and the way it is just very enjoyable. It really, really is. And I think that if Left 4 Dead 3 came out, it could have all that and better. Think about it this way. Let me talk about my main points. Why do I think that if Left 4 Dead 3 came out, it would only be on PC? Well, let's look at Valve's track record. Number one, I can tell you that they haven't really had a taste for console, considering something like, let's say, CSGO. Now, if you take a look at CSGO on console and PC, it's night and day difference. Because CSGO is one of their newer titles. Keep in mind, Left 4 Dead's older, so CSGO is a more better example of the current Valve and what they see of consoles. Like, Valve has really been more about PC. I mean, obviously they have Steam, so why would they want to go onto a console when they can just use their own thing with Steam? Secondly, as well, other than the fact that they have no real reason to be on console at this point anymore, is that consoles just restrict the hardware and the idea of the game. I would love for there to be a console version of a supposed Left 4 Dead 3, but the thing is, though, is that, number one, I don't see it happening considering Valve. Secondly, as well, is that the hardware limitations and just the frustrations that I can see Valve going through wouldn't make it worth it to them. And lastly, as well, is that PC is just meant for them. It would make the game better, because PC obviously runs better, it has more capabilities with mods, graphics, settings, stability, all that stuff. And console just doesn't have that. Now, I don't know how serious the Xbox Series X or S or the PS5 can handle games. Maybe I'm completely wrong. But obviously, PCs are always going to be better because of their hardware. And Valve's more into PCs anyways because of, like I said, things like Steam. So I feel like that, why would they waste their assets, especially considering the fact they haven't made games in forever and they're basically coming out of retirement for this. Why would they, come back out of retirement, try something completely that they're unfamiliar with, on such a large scale and risk, basically commercial failure? It wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't be in the best interest of them. And so they'll probably just stick with PC, is because it's better for the game. They can keep all their assets in one place, focus on making one good product instead of a whole bunch of decent products, rather. Because this has happened with things like, let's say, a good example was Call of Duty Ghosts with Infinity Ward back in 2013. Infinity Ward had to make Xbox 360, PS3, Xbox One, PS4, Wii U, and PC versions of Call of Duty Ghosts. And that was several ports that they had to work on, just randomly thrown out at them. And it made their game, I believe, suffer. I think that's one of the reasons why Ghosts sucked. And yet, it still is not a known thing why that Ghost is the way it was. I mean, sure, maybe there was probably something we never saw to the public, such as certain ideas, certain backstage crap about, corruption. I don't know. I'm not trying to necessarily sound like a politician or get too much into depth, but anyway, games are also a business. We got to keep that in mind, is that it's got to be beneficial to both parties involved. So if we take Valve, it's in their best interest, to keep it on PC, just for several reasons. Secondly, as well, is that with the new standard that they would have to live up to anyways, Valve would want to start almost essentially fresh again, because Half-Life 3 was kind of like their first big step in a while. So after Half-Life 3, Left 4 Dead 3 would be the new big step again. And what they would need to do is they would need to live up to the Fortnite standard, which is constant, consistent, good updates, having the game not be buggy and good at launch, and also just in general is that they would have to be responsive to the community, and it's best to do that on one platform. And Valve needs to essentially ease their way into this and get this done now, because if they tried to do this and they did it poorly, people wouldn't trust them again. And because right now, really all they're known for is being a CSGO lotto machine, essentially. That's really all they've been known for, essentially. I'm not trying to target you, Valve, but you really only pay attention to CSGO. I mean, am I wrong? And the last thing also as well is that you gotta keep in mind is that other than them having to live up to Fortnite standards, is that the game as a whole could do so well for them, it could probably be their best-selling game and be on top of CSGO. Because Left 4 Dead obviously would not, only have to live to the Fortnite standard, they just have to live to the gaming standard. Like just games in general. Like, You know, games, like I said, are expected to live to a Fortnite standard, and just a new standard in general. New consoles, you know, new platforms, new graphics, new community. I mean, sure, that you'll have your Left 4 Dead fans that are also, like, you know, really old veterans, but you also have the new community as well, so you're going to want to accommodate them. You know, you're going to have so much stuff to live up to that the game could honestly expand and be so big, and if they really, really do try, they could have so much people coming in, like old and new, that they could be so successful. They could essentially be, I wouldn't say the new Fortnite, but they could definitely be up there. Like, they could have it where they have the old community come back in full force. They can welcome in the new community, especially considering the fact that everyone has, you know, TTV and YT in their name now, so everyone wants to be a content creator. They could promote the game to, you know, like several 10 times full than they used to, especially since, you know, everyone wants to basically be a YouTuber at this point. So the game would have a crap ton of promotion. The game could make so much money through, like, DLC, such as, like, character skins, or, you know, gun skins, or maybe even, you know, guns altogether, because since, you know, this is a survival game, you know, maybe in versus and, you know, scavenger and all the, you know, the versus modes, it wouldn't make sense. But in the normal campaign, if they add in, like, a new gun that you could buy, or, you know, just new guns or new skins or something like that, just add in regular free fun content, whether it's charged or not, I don't know, it depends on how they're looking at it. You know, have maybe, like, the cosmetic stuff be charged, and, you know, the physical stuff be free, like, you know, like guns. And people would be addicted to that. I know I would be addicted to that. That'd be fun as hell, and it'd be a very replayable, enjoyable model. And if you, like I said, make this on PC, and you do things like add mods again, you'll have all the content on top of that from the community. It'd be so great on tenfold that the game would be, like, I would believe, #1. And I think that Valve knows this too, and they're just not saying anything. And I think what happens is that with this Left 4 Dead 2 update for The Last Stand, is their testing ground to see if the community is still there. If Left 4 Dead 2 with this Last Stand update does well enough and has the support that Valve thinks that it should have, they would be much, much, much more welcomed and open to the idea of making games again, knowing that the community can still trust them with making new content. Because Valve has said before in the past that they don't trust themselves to make a good game recently, like over the last couple of years. If we showed them that we can still trust them by basically looking at something like this new DLC and treating it like a baby, I feel like it can do extremely well. So that is why I think Left 4 Dead 3 can happen, guys. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think. But I hope you guys end up having a wonderful day, and I hope you guys enjoyed another YouTube video from the most unique YouTuber you guys will ever see. Peace out, guys.